What up, what up? I haven't been around for a while. Mainly since right before the holidays because I had to mull some shit over before I decided to do this video. However, I prayed on it and I'm gonna do that, y'all. So, sit tight, saint tight. Sit tight because this is probably going to be quite a long video. So take some time to listen to it like on a car ride home or to work or like when you're chilling, kids asleep, you're on your way to bed or something. This is going to be a real one. This is something that's so juicy especially because it stemmed from making this channel that you and I are talking on right now. I'm going to have to start this with a Bible verse because, dude, I really needed to pray about this one. This is going to be from Psalms 9. Psalms 5. Psalms 5. I'm going to start from the 4th verse on down, okay? So Psalms 5, starting at verse 4. For you are not a God who is pleased with wickedness. With you, evil people are not welcome. The arrogant cannot stand in your presence. You hate all who do wrong. You destroy those who tell lies. The bloodthirsty and deceitful you, Lord, detest. But I, by your great love, can come into your house in reverence. I bow down towards your holy temple. Lead me, Lord, in your righteousness because of mine enemies. Make your way straight before me. Not a word from their mouth can be trusted. Their heart is filled with malice. Their throat is an open grave. With their tongues they tell lies. Declare them guilty, O God. Let their intrigues be their downfall. Banish them from their many sins, for they have rebelled against you. I'm ending that at verse 10, although it goes all the way to verse 12. Why that psalm? I prayed about it, and I went with what I prayed for, and I was led to that. Psalms 5, verses something like 4 through 10. Okay? Why did I get led to that? Because I've been struggling with wanting to tell you guys something for a while now, and I just didn't want to blatantly do it because I like to be morally correct. I like to go back and forth until God just really lets me know what it is that I got the green light to do. And in this case, I got the green light. So I'm doing it today. First of all, y'all, I didn't stop to think about the fact I've been focusing on narcissism thus far, that I didn't stop to think about how some victims actually turned survivors, will then turn into abusers themselves. So this video is about when the survivor turns and transforms into the abuser. That is grotesque. I don't know how often that happens. Do your research on your own. I will do the same. But in this case, I met a survivor turned abuser on this channel. Okay? And it bothered me because she and I have been in communication for over 2 years. I didn't say anything to anybody on this channel out of respect for her identity. I mean, because I'm a real friend. That's why I choose not to make friends very often, because friendships are legitimate relationships and I take them completely seriously. Okay? I'm not that friend that will abandon you like that. So, with that being said, when I say I'm not that friend that will abandon you like that, keep that in mind as this story progresses, okay? So, about 2.5 years ago, I put out a video on my channel right here where we are on right now that stated my address, and I gave out an invitation for pen pals. I said, hey, if you're lonely and you just need someone to talk to, you need a pen pal, and you want it to not be through my channel, go ahead and send me something, and I promise I will send you something back. Well, lo and behold, about 3 weeks after that, I actually did receive something in the mail. And it was something very personal and beautiful that only someone that would have had to genuinely care about the messages that I was putting out would have sent me. It was a milk dish. because at one point in time I had a video about how the narcissist destroys your things, and I mentioned that one of the things my narcissistic ex-husband had destroyed was a precious milk dish that was only precious to me because a dead friend of mine had given me a few of them. Okay, so she sent the milk dish, and I knew that only someone that would at least had some sort of empathy would be able to pinpoint that, remember it, and then like act on it, and then send it. And she was the only one who acted on it. So over time, we would write each other letters. We would send each other birthday gifts. We would send each other holiday gifts. We literally developed. She found me on Facebook Messenger, and we would only talk. We never called each other on the phone, but we literally talked all day, throughout the day, every single day for 2 years on Facebook Messenger. Okay? Which became weird later, and you'll find out why. So, being that we were, and I was very honest with her, it's very hard for me to make friends because I just don't want to, because I don't want that kind of hurt that came from 12 and 13-year relationships with a few different female friends that just went sour because they turned like into Judases, right? She was, so anyway, so she was she understood that. At least she was made aware of that. You watch out for those people with whom you tell sensitive information, such as what hurt you in the past, whether it's telling a new boyfriend or girlfriend, hey man, I got burned before because my ex cheated with my best friend. You watch out for people that will then take that information and use it to do the same thing to you again in hopes that you will off yourself. Okay? Mainly because it's gross and wrong. But they'll use that same thing you told them, and they'll do that to you again and try to amp it up and make it worse. Okay? That's what narcissists do. Alright? If you got cheated on because your boyfriend slept with your mom, that new narcissistic boyfriend will try his damnedest to get a close bond with your mom. Right? So, not knowing that this is what she would then do, when I told her I don't have like a good rapport with other females, okay? As far as like close friendships, they have always gone south. She chose to use that one to do that to me through my own channel, no doubt. Now, when did I start realizing that this pen pal turned pseudo friend was not quite on the money? And not money, but you know what I mean. She wasn't quite like, something wasn't clicking. When I told her that my ex had a TikTok account, she found him, diligently looked for him, found him on TikTok. And then one morning when I opened up our daily Facebook Messenger messages, it was her sending me a video of his TikTok account. Well, not his account, a video. She just posted his video in our message. So all I saw was blow, like his face. Now, honestly, to all you guys out there, if you are actively and very vocally, so that it be known to everybody, avoiding somebody, ignoring somebody, not interacting with somebody, don't want to be around this abuser, would anybody that cared about you then go and say, hey, oh, I know what I should do with that. I should go find that abuser that they don't like and that they don't want to interact with, and I'll dig up a whole video on them and then mail it to them so that when they wake up in the morning, that's what they see is the face of this piece of shit that they have worked diligently to forget and get rid of. No one that is your friend would really do that to you, sweetheart. If anything, your friend would try to make sure you never see that piece of shit again. But of course, here I go, doing that toxic thing that I'm working on, which is ignoring the big-ass red flag on absolute fire with gasoline draws on. and going, oh, well, I shouldn't flip out on her because she probably just doesn't understand. No, that bitch understood. And she did it on purpose. Okay? Now, I'll give you a really quick backstory since I have to in order for you to really get the gist of things. Her story to me was that she came from a farm. Her mother and dad, well, basically her dad started this farm. Her dad died, but her mother and her older sibling or whatever, being her sister, had formed some kind of alliance to where they were both toxic and narcissistic together and abused her all the way into her 50s. 50s being in her age range, right? And I'm like, damn, that really sucks, right? Because I understand what it's like to have a parent that is a narcissist. So I went on that and I tried to be sympathetic with this bitch, right? But in the grand scheme of things, where I had listened to her bitch about these people for the longest time, where she said she owns, supposedly her story, she owns half of this farm. Her sister owns the other half alongside her mother, but her mother's supposedly dying, right? That the mother and sister kicked her and her husband off of this farm. Okay? And now her and her husband live in a hotel that's ran by a third world country Indian dude, like from India, right? And I'm like, oh, all right. And they're based in North Carolina. Now, I lived in North Carolina. That will come into play in a second. So I'm like, oh, man, that sucks. Not even thinking, when she said that her family kicked her off her own property that she owns half of, which is this farm, and now she's forced to live in a hotel with her husband, never putting it to, who's a mechanic, by the way. Her husband's a mechanic, by the way, supposedly, whom she also met on a dating site and married within 5 months. So keep that in mind. All right. I never thought to be like, well, I did eventually start thinking like this, but at first I never thought, how can someone kick you off of a property that your name is on? Even here in the city, if you were in a domestic volatile situation where your man's beating your ass, if that nigga's on the lease, you still have to give him a 30-day notice. Don't ask how I know that. Maybe it's because I've been there, done that. So how is it that I would still have to give a blatant abuser a 30-day notice, but you have a whole name on some kind of deed to a property, and two people that are narcissistic were able to kick you out of your own shit? Something's fishy about that. And so now that's why you live in a hotel? Ran by an Indian guy for 5 years? You live in a hotel for 5 years because of what now? When your husband's a whole ass mechanic? And by the way, I looked up a mechanic's salary, and from what it said, which I could still be off, they make at least from $47,000 to $67,000 a year, depending on what kind of things they are fixing. Whether it's different and more money when it's bigger machines versus cars. But either way, in North Carolina, which I've lived there, you can get a whole ass apartment for like $600, plus you do have to pay for utilities. So let's say $700. Let's even give it $750. That's nothing. I live in DC, baby. People paying $2,000 and $3,000 for efficiencies in this bitch. All right. So like New York prices. So I know for a fact, with a fireplace you can get in North Carolina for $600 plus if you just pay your utilities. So something was fishy about the fact that she told me that she met a dude online, married him within like 5 months or less, and he moved into the same family farm that you claim you got kicked out of by your family when you own some of it. I let her slide with that because I was more focused on helping her ass through the fact that she claimed she was abused. She also claimed that she was abused by her high school friends who no longer wanted to be friends with her and kept blocking her on Facebook, right? She claimed that she was just poor poor country girl came from a farm, got kicked off her farm by her narc mother and narc sister, and she needed my help and all that shit. And I helped her ass for 2 years with free advice behind the scenes of these videos without even really mentioning this bitch. Every day I was actually secretly helping her ass as my so-called friend, psych, get through this dilemma with her so-called eviction from her so-called property that she so-called owns half of, while she's living in this hotel with her so-called mechanic husband that for some reason can't or won't just put them up in an apartment, like a 1-bedroom apartment. Something about that was always fishy. That shit smelled like Ursula's pussy, bruh. Yeah, the sea witch, my nigga. That shit smelled like her and them 2 eels on leashes that she had as pets. Right? It smelled like an Ariel fart. Like King Triton took a piss. That's how fishy her story was. But I was like, nah, man, don't judge. You know what I'm saying? Wrong, judge. If you feel weird about a motherfucker, it's because they are a weird motherfucker, okay? And she was a weird motherfucker. And so let's head into this Thanksgiving knowing what you know right now, right? Because I personally think her husband's probably a convict or some shit, or somebody with some criminal activity, because I don't see anybody that would want to live in a hotel and pay out their ass to live in a hotel for 5 years instead of getting an apartment in North Carolina, of all places, that's cheap as fuck. Alright? Anyway, so over the holidays, you guys, where I wasn't coming on here making videos, my narcissistic ex-husband / stalker did some shit. Again, because he can't stay away from me or my business. He did some shit. And I confided in my friend who I met on this channel, supposedly, right? You know what she did? And I'm going to add what I'm about to tell you to the fact that she posted a video of him in a message for me when I didn't ask for that and wouldn't have wanted to see it. I would never be like, hey, good morning, here's a picture of your abuser. How's your day? I told her about what he did, which was really problematic, by the way. And she goes, oh, honestly, I'm just going to have to ask you. Didn't you already knew that he does things like this? You already know that he robs people. You already knew that he does this. Why on earth would you shop online if you know that he can steal information? As opposed to saying, damn, that really sucks that he stole some information from online and shopped with it. Right? This so-called friend started doing what? I'll tell you, victim shaming. And so I called that bitch out on it. I was like, hey, I don't do victim shaming and blaming, baby. So she waited a day and then met me with a message that said, by the way, we're exchanging voice messages because you can do that on Facebook Messenger. She was like, you're right. I do victim blame and I do victim shame. All right. I haven't had a voice for a long time. So I'm not going to let nobody stop me from saying what I want to say. And I do victim blame and shame. I'm pretty sure that you fell in love with him. I see why you fell in love with him, because he's brilliant. He's brilliant to be able to steal from people. The fuck? That's like someone molesting your kid and I go, he's so brilliant for becoming a teacher. Because he got to your kids so easy. He's brilliant. That would be grotesque and I deserve to get a bullet in the forehead for some gross, raggedy shit like that. But that's what she did. And then backed it up and wasn't sorry for that shit. The bitch that I had helped for 2 years, based off of her finding me on this channel and posed as somebody who rock with us on here, said that gross shit. And then backed it up. And then had the nerve to message me a day after that and say, you know what? And she's in her 50s, by the way. I'm in my 40s, whatever, right? That's not far away. And even if it was, so what? I make friends with who I want. But her excuse when I called her out was, I think you should just get friends that are like your age. And you know, I'll just get friends my age, but I wish you all the best. So basically, after she got a free painting from me and 2 years of free advice behind the scenes of this channel right here, and got to sit there and push pictures of my ex in my face and tell me how all these compliments about how like he's a genius or some shit, or I can see where you might have liked him, or all this bullshit. Watch out for also for people like that. Anybody who compliments your abuser is a piece of shit. Get rid of their ass. And it happens in these undercover ways. That bitch, I don't even think she got abused, but if she did get abused, if she even got abused, there are some victims that will turn into abusers. Alright? I've never seen some shit like that. I mean, I guess technically narcissistic people are people that were abused who then chose to become a victim turned abuser. So she's no different from narcissist to me. She's a piece of shit. And I'm calling her ass out right now. All right? According to Psalms 5, baby. In the Bible. All right? Watch for people that do that, and watch for people that will harm you with the same information that you confided in them with. Alright? That's the type of shit that's out here, y'all. Demons don't just body hop with other demonic people. Demons body jump with lower vibrational pieces of shit like that. Alright? Everybody ain't your friend. You're not responsible for connecting with other people that have been through supposedly what you've been through. Why? Because they're more than likely fucked all the way up and they need to go on their own journey. If there's anybody that y'all want to connect with someone that is where you want to be, not somebody that's where you came from or where you're at now. Connect with someone that's up there past that. But she complimented him a few times and then backed up victim shaming. And I found that to be incredibly gross. So I don't even know if this whole 22 minute long message made sense to you guys. But that's what I was combating, really. I feel like at the peak and at the top of the totem pole of narcissism and narcissistic abuse, there are people that are out here pretending to be the abused just so that they can go on channels like mine, connect with other people that have been abused and other survivors and victims and things like that, just so that they can abuse them again behind the scenes under the guise of being like them or akin to them. Those demonic spirits ain't playing with you, baby. They are posing as people who know how you feel, and they don't know how you feel. But when you tell them how you feel, they will use that and try to abuse you again. For all I know, this bitch could be fucking that dude. She could be fucking my ex-husband for real. Who knows? You never know who the fuck you're talking to. And that's back to where I made that video about justified paranoia. Shit like that. Shit like that. Alright? Anyway, I love you guys. And that's just something that I have been like experiencing. And I really just didn't know how I wanted to deliver that truth to you guys. So it took me a while to just think about it. Me and God just going over it. You know what I mean? I love you. And for those of you who made it to the end of this video, you be careful of those people that pretend like they know how you're feeling or they listen to you. Matter of fact, don't say shit to nobody. Just talk to God, all right? Love you. Bye.